Joining us right now, accounting professor at Montclair State University, America's accountant, Dan Geltrude. Welcome back to Wake Up America, Dan.
Good morning, Alex.
All right, as I just mentioned, the markets are closed today after a rough end to a rough week last week. NASDAQ itself on a 6-day losing streak. And while Wall Street does have the day off, there is certainly plenty of business news to talk about. So, Dan, first, I want to head over to Europe, where the markets are open. The euro fell below 0.99 for the first time in 20 years. So, Dan, what's the connection to that and then Russia threatening to shut off its main gas pipeline to Europe?
Well, if Russia ultimately is going to literally cut off the gas lines into Europe, it is going to cause enormous pain, economic pain. So this is something that we're going to have to watch very carefully. Look, there's a lot of geopolitical stuff happening over there, not to mention the war itself in Ukraine. So I think Europe is in a very vulnerable and fragile position right now. So I think there's going to be a lot of economic turmoil there in the months to come.
Well, let's head back here to the United States. Let's start with that tragic news of Bed Bath & Beyond CFO who jumped to his death on Friday. And that's just 2 days after the company announced it was cutting 20% of its workforce and closing 150 of its stores. So, Dan, just how direct of a correlation do these two events have?
Well, this is certainly a very tragic situation for the Anal family. To my knowledge, I don't know if there was any note or reason why this exactly happened, so we may never know. Look, Bed Bath & Beyond has been struggling financially, and yes, they are working on some plans to bring their company to profitability. Look, Bed Bath & Beyond had been really a dominant company for a long time. But, you know, in the age of Amazon, they seem to struggle to be able to compete related to that online retail business. So unfortunately, as we see today, the company is struggling, and whether that had anything to do with this situation, we may never know, Alex.
Yeah, I think more details hopefully will come out within the coming days. But let's switch gears a little bit. Analysts predicted this is going to be the busiest Labor Day travel weekend in 3 years. But in true 2022 fashion, this weekend has been plagued by airline delays. Dan, I have had friends that over the weekend their flights were canceled and then the next ones were delayed. It was a mess at the airport. Was this weather related, the cause of the staffing shortages? What was behind all of this?
Well, we have somewhat of a perfect storm situation related to travel because, you know, people are starting to travel more now as the pandemic hopefully is coming down. And we have shortages at the airlines related to personnel. And the more and more we go on, the more stories we hear about delays and cancellations. So it should come as no surprise when you have a very heavily traveled day or weekend like Labor Day that we're going to continue to see this problem. And, you know, when is it going to stop? And no one really knows because the situation always seems to be getting worse.
Absolutely. Well, unlike Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day weekend isn't usually a big one for the movies, but thanks to promotion on Saturday of $3 movie tickets, theaters did pretty good, didn't they, Dan?
Yeah, they did. And, you know, it's really nice in this time of inflation that we actually see some reasonable pricing out there. I know, you know, going to a theater and getting a little bit to eat and drink ends up really costing a fortune. So the fact that the prices are being lowered to $3, I think that's really something that's most welcome by especially families where you have multiple people, and it can get really expensive, Alex.
Oh, yes. Speaking of food, White Castle adding 2 more burgers to their menu to celebrate more than 100 years in business. So, Dan, tell us about this. What can White Castle fans get a taste of?
Well, they're adding a couple sliders onto their line, and of course, that is what White Castle is known for, those those little burgers, those bite-sized burgers, and I have to tell you, they're quite delicious. So I am welcoming that they're adding a couple more tasty delights to their lineup. And let me say, I know that there's a lot of talk out there, and Alex, we've discussed this about, these vegetable burgers. It's all vegetables, yet it tastes like a burger.
Yeah.
If it's going to be a burger, let there be meat in it. That's what I say.
I kind of have to agree with you, Dan. Dan Geltrude, thank you so much for coming on this morning. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Alex.